let them worry,"
advised Mrs. Digby, a wise old bird who had been with the family since Mrs. Redfort was a girl.
"They've never had the sane sense to worry before. It'll do them the power of good to employ a little imagination."
"Why?" asked Ruby. "What's the point of them getting all torn up with terror? What benefit is it going to do them?"
"They're too trusting," replied Mrs. Digby. "They don't see the bad in things like I do."
Mrs. Digby was a big believer in seeing the bad in things. Think the worst and you will never be disappointed. It was a motto that had stood her in good stead. So for now, Ruby was doing what her parents wanted. She was biding her time and looking forward to the day when she could lose the arm cast and get her parents off her case. Ruby's father was in advertising, the public relations meet and greet, shake you by the hand side of the business. Being friendly to the big important clients was an important job, and Brant Redfort was very good at it. Typically, therefore, Brant searched for a tie that might appeal to the client. In this instance, Barnaby Cleethorpes, a conservative fellow, but a jolly sort. Brant had picked out one that was patterned a little like a red and white checkered tablecloth, scattered with tiny picnic things. Just the ticket. He had winked at himself in the mirror. As Brant came down for breakfast that morning, he caught sight of his daughter lounging on the patio table, banana milk in one hand, zombie comic in the other, her t-shirt bearing the words, "What are you looking at, duh brain?" He sighed. It seemed unlikely that Ruby would be following him into a career in public relations.
"Now be careful, Ruby," warned her mother. "There are some unsavory types downtown."
"You do know I'm going to Dad's client's office, don't you?" said Ruby, sucking down the dregs of her banana milk.
"Say no more,"
muttered Mrs. Digby, who had a notion that the advertising business was rife with unsavory types. Brand kissed his wife on the cheek. "I'll keep an eye on her, honey, never fear. What possible harm can come to her in the Barnaby Cleethorpes offices?" Sabina kissed her daughter and hugged her as if a month might pass before seeing her again. "Mom, you gotta chill," said Ruby, disentangling herself from her mother's embrace and stepping into the chauffeur-driven, air-conditioned car. They arrived on 3rd Avenue and took the elevator up to the 72nd floor. Mr. Cleethorpes greeted them. "Nice to meet you, young Ruby," and he pumped Ruby's good hand so hard she thought it might come loose from its socket. "I see you have been in the wars, but I understand from your father that you're quite the brave little lady." Ruby smiled the smile of a 5-year-old, which was obviously what Mr. Cleethorpes had mistaken her for. "How about a drink for our small guest?" he said. He turned to his assistant, who had nodded and smiled and went off to find something suitable. Ruby suspected milk. As it turned out, she was right. She rolled her eyes. Ruby was not a fan of milk, unless flavored with strawberry chocolate or her particular favorite, banana. Once alone, Ruby set about finding a good place to dispose of her beverage. There were no plants in the reception area, and it didn't seem good manners to tip it into one of the ornamental glass vases. She scanned the room further, and that's when she noticed that a section of the window in the waiting area could be opened. She stood on a stool, reached up, and pulled on the latch. She pushed the window open, and a fresh breeze blew in, and Ruby couldn't help wondering how nice it might feel to sit out in that pollution-free air. And that's how Ruby came to be sitting on the ledge of a very tall building, 600 feet above street level, wiggling her toes and contemplating the whole big picture. She felt truly calm sitting here on the edge of nowhere. Ruby Redfort had no issue with heights. She'd never suffered vertigo, never felt that strange desire to let herself fall. Fear had never dominated Ruby's actions, but now fear wasn't even playing a part. It seemed she had reached a state of fearlessness. Ruby picked up the glass and flung the milk from it, watching it disperse into tiny droplets that disappeared into the air. She placed the empty glass carefully on the ledge and decided she wouldn't mind taking a little wander around the building, see her dad schmoozing Barnaby Cleethorpes. Why not? The ledge was relatively wide, and it was easy to walk to the south corner window and peek into Mr. Cleethorpes' office.